Welcome to part 7 of the homework machine. Boy, in part 6, things are starting to get a little bit heated. We've got Kelsey and Judy talking about how Belch is creating conflicts with them and their friends. We've got Ronnie starting to get more and more suspicious of the D Squad. He even followed them over to Brenton's house and was spying on them. And then we've got Police Chief Rebecca Fish getting an anonymous tip from a phone call. It was made from a payphone after she traced the call and said that someone at the school is using a homework machine. Now, there's not too many people that know about the homework machine, so the first thing that everyone should be thinking right now watching this is, who could have made that call? We've got the big mystery from the very beginning of what did these four do? Because remember, we know Brenton, Judy, Kelsey, and Sam got in trouble for something. We just don't know what yet. And if you're thinking, oh, well, they probably get caught using the homework machine, would that have gotten the police involved? Because even if they do get caught using Belch, that wouldn't be a criminal matter that the police would have involved themselves in. So something more significant with a law being broken would have had to have occurred. So you should still be thinking, what could they have done? And now we've got this other mystery along with Milner, but who could have told Police Chief Rebecca Fish about it? Judy. One morning, Kelsey comes to me and she said she had a secret she wanted to share with me. Ordinarily, I don't like sharing secrets or hearing other people's secrets. It's not that far from lying, really, because once you know someone's secret and you keep it to yourself, you're not being honest with the people around you. Anyway, Kelsey looked like she was going to tell me the secret no matter what. She lifted up the bottom of her shirt and shows me that she had pierced her belly button. Well, I almost threw up. That is just about the most disgusting thing I ever saw. I can't believe her mom would let her do that. Or maybe I can. After all, she did let Kelsey dye her hair pink. But I can't understand why anybody would ever want to do that. It's just gross, if you ask me. My mom always told me that if I don't have something nice to say to somebody, I should say nothing at all. But I lied and told Kelsey her belly button ring was cool. I didn't want to hurt her feelings. Kelsey. I knew Judy thought that what I did was disgusting. She's good at a lot of stuff, but she's not very good at hiding her feelings. But hey, she pierced her ears, right? What's the difference? Miss Rasmussen. I was in the lounge and I asked some of the other teachers if it was common for an unpopular child to suddenly become popular with the other students, because that's what seemed to have happened with Brenton. He was just about shunned when school started, and very soon he seemed to be quite popular, and I couldn't figure it out. Mrs. Wallace, who has been teaching for more than 20 years, said that a child can change a lot in 1 year. Some kids start 5th grade at the maturity level of a 4th grader, and end the year with the maturity level of a 6th grader. But she said that in all her years of teaching, she had only seen unpopular kids suddenly become popular a few times. She said that if that happens, it means the other kids are often using him or her in some way. Kids don't just suddenly become popular for no reason. Judy. One day, I went to get a drink of water after the bell rang for dismissal, and when I got back to the class, Snick, Brenton, and Kelsey were gone. They went to Brenton's house without me. That had never happened before. I was really upset. I hopped on my bike, and all the way over there I was trying to figure it out. Was it an accident, or did they do it on purpose? Maybe there was something they wanted to talk about and they didn't want me to hear. Were they trying to send me a message? Were they trying to cut me out of the group? I didn't know what to do. Kelsey. Judy came in all upset. I asked her what was wrong, and she said nothing, but it was so obvious. It was all over her face. She totally can't hide her emotions. Finally, she blurted out that she was mad because we left without her. Man, she gets upset too easy. I told her it was nothing. We looked around for her after school and couldn't find her, so we left. What's the big whoop? I told her she was being silly, and then she got mad at that. Her voice was even trembling. Man, she stayed mad for a long time. When she grows up, she's going to get an ulcer or something. She cares too much about everything. She's lucky she doesn't have anything serious to worry about. When I was 6, my dad got hit by a snowmobile and he died. I was there. I saw it happen. When something like that happens to you, it puts stuff into perspective. I'm not going to get all bent out of shape because some kids leave school without me. You know what I mean? Sam. In an email, I asked my dad if he shot anybody yet. He said he didn't want to talk about stuff like that and maybe we should just stick to chess. He beat me pretty fast in that first email game. I guess I wasn't paying close attention because he captured my queen, and after that he just took all my other pieces one by one. Well, I'll never let that happen again. After he checkmates me, he asks if I'm up for another game or am I too chicken. I tell him to bring it on, hot shot. He moves one of his pawns up and so do I. I move the pieces on our chessboard at home so I can see the game better. Chess by email is actually pretty cool. I'd usually check my mail after dinner and Dad's move would be there waiting for me. I liked having as much time as I needed to decide what to do next. No pressure, you know? I learned some of the basic strategy by then. Like you want to bring your pieces out from the back row as early in the game as possible. But you don't want to bring your queen out too early because then she's open to attack and she can get in the way of your pawns. It's a really complicated game. You got to think. Brenton. Snick came in one morning with his chessboard. He told me he was playing a game against his dad and needed some advice. He set up the pieces, and I looked things over. He had done a pretty nice job. His dad was one piece ahead, but Snick was in a good position and could still win. I told him a few things he didn't know, like a rook is worth more than a bishop or knight, which are worth about the same. And if you have two pawns in position to make a capture, you want to capture toward the center of the board. But he had already learned a lot of stuff on his own. He's much smarter than he gives himself credit for. I'm an okay player. Not great. I've never really studied the game. The most important thing to know is that chess isn't a battle. It's a war. You want to gradually build up tiny advantages and make your position better until the enemy has no choice but to quit. I advised Snick to castle so he could get his king away from the center of the board. Miss Rasmussen. I really didn't know all that much about chess myself. I had played a tiny bit as a child. All I really knew was how the various pieces moved. I didn't understand any advanced strategy. But when I saw Sam and Brenton talking over a chessboard, it seemed like one of those wonderful teachable moments we live for. So I scrapped our lesson plan for the morning. I drew the chessboard on the chalkboard and explained to everybody the basic rules of play. The students started giving their ideas about which moves Sam should make next. Sam and Brenton stood at the front of the class and explained why some moves might be smarter than others. It was fascinating for the entire class. I could almost see the wheels turning in their little heads. We spent the whole morning doing that. Finally, Sam decided to castle, which is sort of when your king and rook switch places. It was a wonderful learning experience that I'll remember for the rest of my teaching career. Judy's mom. I couldn't help but notice that Judy wasn't spending much time doing homework anymore. In 4th grade, she used to come home from school and work on it for hours. Even if she didn't have too much homework, she would go over it again and again until it was perfect. I naturally assumed that her workload would be a little heavier in 5th grade, but that wasn't the case. It seemed like she never did any homework at all. I was worried. Maybe she'd lost her enthusiasm for school. I asked Judy about it, and she said that Miss Rasmussen was a really easy teacher who didn't believe in giving a lot of homework. When we had our parent-teacher conference, I actually suggested to Miss Rasmussen that maybe she should give the students more homework. She told me that some of the students felt there was too much homework as it was, and a few of the parents had complained about the time their kids had to spend on it. She said that Judy was just an excellent student, and that was probably why she finished her homework so quickly. I wanted to believe that, and so I did. Kelsey. Then there was the day Judy made a Valentine's Day card for Brenton, and it was like World War III broke out. Sam. So Judy gives a Valentine's Day card to Brenton. She doesn't give one to me. She didn't give one to Kelsey. I don't think she gave one to anybody in the class but Brenton. Maybe she only gives Valentines to the smart kids. I wasn't jealous. I mean, a girl has the right to like anybody she wants. It just kind of took me by surprise, that's all. I didn't know she liked Brenton. Actually, I kind of thought she might have a crush on me. Can't imagine why she would pick him over me. Judy. I didn't like either of them. Snick thinks he is so cool, but deep down he is so insecure. He couldn't get over the idea that anybody might like Brenton better than him. It meant nothing. It was just a silly Valentine. But everybody in the class was talking about it as if Brenton and I were going to get married or something. Brenton. I have always viewed Valentine's Day, and most holidays for that matter, as artificial celebrations that provide opportunities for big corporations to make people feel guilty and buy greeting cards, flowers, chocolates, and presents. But it was a nice gesture. I thought nothing more of it. Kelsey. There was this one day when Miss Rasmussen gave us a homework vacation. No homework for a change. Nice, right? Well, when we left school, we all forgot there was no homework and just headed for Brenton's house like we always did. It wasn't until we got up to his room we figured out we didn't have any homework to do. We all felt pretty stupid. We were going to go home, but Brenton's mom brought in some chocolate chip cookies that were awesome. We took him down to the basement and played ping pong for a while. It turns out that Brenton is a great ping pong player. I couldn't believe it. He even beat Snick, who's always the best athlete in gym. Snick was all mad and he was saying that Brenton was cheating and stuff. It was a riot. I'll say this for Brenton. The guy constantly surprises you. Sam: I like to hit the ball hard and slam it past the other guy. But Brenton wouldn't let me. He kept dinking these stupid little weak shots just over the net where I couldn't reach them, and putting these weird spins on the ball so I wouldn't know which way it was going to bounce. That's got to be illegal, right? Ronnie: Yeah, I was the one who wrote the message on the boys' room wall. I guess now that it's all over, I can admit it. Hey, it wasn't as bad as what they did. I knew they were up to something. No way kids like Judy and Brent would hang around with kids like Kelsey and Snickwad. Heck, no way any of them should be hanging around with each other. And no way kids like Kelsey and Snickwad should be getting A's. So I wrote D Squad or cheaters with a marker on the wall in one of the stalls. Used my left hand so nobody could say it was my handwriting. But that's all I did. I didn't know how they were cheating, but they had to be doing something. It got rubbed off the next day, but I guess word got around because people were talking. Sam: So I'm in the boys' room and I see the graffiti. I scribble over it right away and I hope that nobody else saw it, but maybe every boy in the school saw it before I went in there. Who knows? I didn't know who wrote it, but I had my suspicions. The whole thing shook me up. If anybody found out about Belch, we'd be in big trouble. Kelsey: Snick said we had to have another meeting, so we all met at the big concrete turtle thing in the playground during recess. We get there and he's all whispering and stuff like we're spies or something. He says we may have a rat, a leak, and he wanted to know who spilled the beans. Well, it sure wasn't me. I knew that. Nobody admitted it. Judy got all freaked out like she was going to cry or something. She's so emotional. Brenton said one of those weird things he always says that makes no sense to anybody but him. Snick said we should all be cool about it and remember we made a pact not to tell anybody. He said that if anybody asked any of us about Belch, we should just deny everything. Just say none of us knew anything about it. Figured it was nothing. Kids pass around dumb rumors about other kids all the time. But, this time the rumor was true. Miss Rasmussen: After thinking it over for a long time, I decided to split the kids up in D Squad. I didn't like the way they were always whispering to each other. It's good when a group of kids bonds together, but when they form their own little secret society that excludes everyone else, it's usually a sign of trouble. I suspected something was going on. I told the class it would be a good learning experience if they changed seats every so often and got to work with other students. I put Sam, Judy, Kelsey, and Brenton in separate groups, one in each corner of the classroom. Kelsey: We were constantly having these stupid meetings. Seemed like we had to have a meeting every day. This time it was Judy who said we had to have one. It was right after Miss Rasmussen changed our seats around and Judy was freaking out, as usual. She was going to get pimples on her face or something over this. We met at Brenton's house after school because Judy didn't want to be seen together at recess. She was all worried. Judy: Teachers don't just move everybody's desk around for no reason. Usually it's because of a behavior problem. Or maybe they find out that some kid has bad eyesight or hearing and they need to sit closer to the front of the room. But none of that was going on. None of the other groups were split up the way we were, with each of them stuck in a different corner. Miss Rasmussen did it on purpose, I was sure. She probably figured it all out. She probably knew about Belch, and everything I had worked so hard for was gone. My face was breaking out. I felt like my life was over. Kelsey: The phone rang one day when I was home by myself. I picked it up, and it was that Milner guy. He said he really wanted to talk to me. The guy was like a stalker or something. I have no idea how he got my number. I just hung up on him. And that will be the end of part 7. And boy, we keep having these mysterious pop-ups with Milner. Brenton was contacted digitally twice, tried to ignore him and change his user information. Kelsey got a message, and somehow this person, Milner, knew who she was. And now he's called her at her home, has her personal information like that she certainly hadn't given out online. She didn't even know how he knew her name, let alone her phone number. So as you're thinking about the big mystery of what they actually did to get in trouble with the police, as you're thinking about the smaller mystery of who called and told the police about the homework machine, now we've got this other mystery about Milner. Who could this possibly be that he knows this personal information about them? Maybe we'll get some clues in our next part. See you back for the next one. Bye.